You know what makes me angry? When I pick up a series that I end up actually really liking, and then for some reason I decide to put it on hold for the next 28 months. Some of you may know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you feel kind of guilty to start something else when you already have a few things you gotta continue watching. So the obvious answer is, go finish. No. If you're like me and you want to read some manga or watch some anime and you're stuck in this kind of position, or if you're just here for a simpler recommendation, I'm here to tell you about a relatively short series called Inuyashiki. Ichirou is a 58-year-old man that looks like a senior citizen and his life is garbage. He has a family that doesn't appreciate him, a job that pays minimum, and no friends whatsoever. To make matters worse, at a random checkup his doctor tells him he has cancer and only 3 months left to live. He ends up hiding this from his family because he's scared they wouldn't even care. Instead of becoming a meth manufacturer, he decides to get a dog since, he has somebody that cares about him, and one night he was out on a walk and then all of a sudden... Oh my god, no, we killed him, man. What the hell do we do? This is not good. Who the fuck was driving, man?
Listen up, fellas, I have an idea. Why don't we just make them into robots?
Oh, that idea is very good. I can't get any erection. So now Ichiro is an insanely powerful robot. And so is that teenager that was next to him. Some of you may already recognize him from this clip.
どんな漫画読む？漫画。どんな漫画読む？
ワンピとか進撃
ワンピ？
の巨人
嘘マジ？誰が一番好き？
ゾロ。
いいね。本当に？
お父さんと弟も死んだんですか？
今関係ねえじゃん。今ワンピの話だろ？
Hiro Shishigami is a boy with a pretty normal life. He goes to school, reads comics, and hangs out from time to time. So, what do Ichiro and Hiro use their powers to do? Well, Ichiro ends up using them to save people, because ever since he turned into what he is, it's inevitable that he begins to question his own humanity, and eventually he discovers that the only thing that makes him feel human is saving others. On the other hand, Hiro feels the same way about his humanity. I mean, the both of them have the same memories as before, but it's harder to feel emotion, they can't digest any food, and of course, the superhuman abilities aren't natural at all. It makes sense that they want to feel a human sensation. So, what does Hiro decide to do? Well, he picks a house at random and walks in there, and I'll let the rest of the scene speak for itself.
Bam! 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 Bam!
この子だけはお願いします。お願いします。この子だけは。
ダメ。子供も殺す。
やめてー！
バン！生きてる。俺生きてる感じがする。
This series is about duality. It's really interesting to see how two people with the exact same capabilities end up in such an opposite situation. I would say that they're the best examples of foil characters that I've ever seen. From the personality down to the character design, these guys are complete opposites. While Ichiro is a pretty wholesome guy and someone you can always root for, what really stands out for me in this series is Hiro. When you look at his life before he became a robot, it was completely normal, and maybe even close to identical to some of you watching this video right now. But of course, he has the same mind before and after the transformation, and in a flashback, we see him express how he has no real care towards the people that have nothing to do with him. And honestly, I and many people can agree to an extent. Whenever we hear something terrible is going on in the world, sure we might have some sympathy, but you'll never care as deeply as the ones being directly affected, and this is proven with many of the wars going on in the real world. Most people don't even take a second out of the day to think about, let alone sympathize, even though they know exactly what's happening. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because in the end of the day, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Hiro's philosophy and why he feels so comfortable doing what he did, while an extreme, is based on something so many people can relate to, and that begs the question, what would you do if you were given those powers? While many would like to think that they would be like Ichiro, most would fall somewhere in the middle, and there are definitely a large number of people that would end up like Hiro. Sure, you might want to save some people, but stealing cash from the ATM has never been easier, and that's what makes him so believable. Most of the time you can't truly understand purely evil characters, for example Johan from Monster, because his brain works completely differently. The majority of people do not feel the need to kill anyone or do anything immoral without reason, and that's not to take away from characters like Johan, Frieza, and Aizen, because they're all amazing characters, but the average person simply can't relate to this character, and that's what Hiro is different. The closest comparison I can give to Hiro is Light from Death Note, but even that one is a stretch because Light saw what he was doing as righteous, but Hiro was swallowed by greed and lost sight of all morals. Of course, this is only where he starts, and as his character develops, you see him really become somebody different. Some of the actions he made towards the end of the series are almost unpredictable from the beginning, and the reason for this are the characters around him. Naturally, there are people Hiro deeply cares about, like his family and his best friends, and as we start to see these characters more often, we begin to anticipate their discovery of Hiro's actions, which makes for some amazing character development and of course plot development. Ichiro doesn't develop as much as Hiro, but that's not to say that the portions of the story that focus on him aren't just as good. In fact, that even adds another opposite between the two of them. The plot perfectly brings out the characters' philosophies, and honestly, I can't think of any other series that portrays duality as good as this one. This story is packed with so many things you wouldn't believe it's only 11 episodes or 85 chapters, and seeing the intensity continuing to rise makes it addictive. Most stories have a rising action which leads into a climax, but there's also something I'd like to call a rising climax. If you've seen Demon Slayer's Entertainment District arc, you might know what I mean. The climax is the absolute highest, most intense moment in the series, and what I like to call a rising climax is when you think you've reached that intense moment, but it just keeps elevating. Inuyashiki used this concept for nearly half the story, which is why it's so hard to put down. That's enough of those aspects. Should you see the anime or the manga? The anime has great voice acting and makes a lot of the scenes really come to life, but there's also a problem with CGI abuse, and if you don't mind that, then by all means go for the anime. But I personally think that the manga is the way to go. The author, who also wrote Gantz. Oh my god, these headphones keep falling off, bro. The author, who also wrote Gantz, has an amazing art style. There are details filling every single page to the brim, and it's extremely smooth to read, and honestly, I could even say it's up there with some of the most realistic backgrounds in manga. So once again, if you're looking for something quick, good, and digestible, I strongly recommend Inuyashiki. But if you're looking for the best series possible and don't care about all this other stuff, I strongly suggest clicking on this video. That's about it. If you like this, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, sold me your newborn, and I'll see you in the next one.